Yes.
What got you into dancing?
That is the big mystery. I think about the arts in general and about people in general, why we're drawn to certain things. I have no idea. I think before I ever even really saw any dancing, I loved it. I love to move, I love the music, I love pretending, make-believe. Yes.
Do you think talent is overrated?
That's a big question. The question is, why do I think talent is overrated? I think it's more than that. It's really, is there such a thing as talent? And it relates to the previous question in that, lots of studies have been done, and in my own experience, I've found that how sort of good someone is when they first try something has very little to do with how good they get at it down the road. Practice is what really makes the big difference. Yeah. What have I done in my field? Or how do you get to that point? Yeah, how do you get to stand out in your field? I think you spend a lot of time working in a very deliberate way. You have to spend a lot of time thinking about and physically, emotionally involved in what it is that you're interested in. That's about the only way, I think. Yes.
How do you view your competition?
Pardon me?
How do you view your competition?
She's asking about competition. Well, it's very interesting because it seems everywhere in our lives. It seems like we can turn everything into a competition, even who can be the best citizen or whatever. And I think there are some good things and some really dangerous things about competition. And I think the big thing that concerns me is that when something becomes a competition, it changes the motivation for doing that thing. So you might have done something just because it was fun to do, or you liked it, or it was interesting, engaging in some way. And suddenly when it's a competition, you're doing it to win, or for a prize, or for some recognition. And it totally changes the motivation. So, well, I think that it's inappropriate in artistic and creative things. I think it really helps people run faster and lift heavier objects and things that you can measure. But when it comes to being creative and problem solving and sort of more artistic or spiritual or humanitarian aspects, I think it really can stifle your freedom, creativity, all those things you need to have new ways of thinking. I think when something becomes a competition, you tend to stop taking as many risks. You be more conservative. You want to win. You don't want to do something that might, lower your chances of doing well. So I think, I would try to get rid of it in creative and artistic sort of places. Yes.
But doesn't competition make you work harder?
It can. They've actually done a lot of studies about that, and I'm very interested in it, so I read about it as much as I can. It makes you work harder, like it will make you run faster. Like stress will make you have adrenaline and you can give more energy. But when it comes to problem solving, they've proven again and again that it makes you worse at it. If you had an interesting thing to figure out, and you were told that if you figure it out, we'll give you $20, you get worse at figuring it out, not better. That's just scientific fact. It's been proven. Yeah. Yes?
What is the most interesting place you performed at?
Oh, that's an interesting question. He's asking what the most interesting place where I've performed. Interesting. I've performed in some cool places. I guess the first one that popped into my mind is a little theater in Guanajuato, Mexico, and it was high up on a plateau, so we had to have actually oxygen tanks in the wings for some of the soloists would get really out of breath a lot quicker than they would normally and need oxygen. And the other thing was, it was beautiful. It was like performing inside of a little jewelry box. It was so ornate. And the stage, it was so old that the stage was raked. The stage wasn't level. So that was really something else to get used to. It's hard if you have to jump and you're traveling towards the back. It's like the ground is right there. So, but mostly you're traveling forward, and that makes your jumping bigger. So I don't know, that was really interesting. It was interesting to realize you can turn on a slant and figure out how to do that. It can work. Yes?
Is there a certain genre of dancing?
I've always been in classical ballet. Well, actually, that's not true. My training incorporated other types of dancing, and since leaving the National Ballet of Canada, I have performed in other types of dance as well, jazz and modern dance, but mostly my expertise is as classical, in classical ballet. Yes? I heard that question that you asked, Chris. It was, what is my greatest achievement? Well, probably has nothing to do with dance, I suppose. Probably has to do with raising my family. I have 4 children. And I was thinking about that. There have been some roles that I've gotten that have been really good roles, or invited to dance somewhere. But I think when I see a student get something and their eyes light up and suddenly they can do something they couldn't do before, that feels like a really big thing to me. So sometimes it's the little things that in the end seem like the biggest things. Yeah. Yes?
How do you spend your free time?
How do I spend my free time? I don't have a lot of it. I really don't. Strangely enough, sometimes I dance. I do different kinds of dance to try to sort of balance my view of what it's about. Is it really about performing? So lately I've done some social dance. I really like yoga. I just like to be moving and active. It's what I choose to do. So that's, yes. Oh, well, yeah, the question is, what do I mean, or what does the question mean about appreciating our bodies as a gift? And I think I've worked very physically all my life, and I've really, I think when you're doing something for your profession or for a career or for a goal, it's easy to, for a long time I took care of my body because that was my instrument. Like I had to eat well and get enough sleep or I just couldn't do my job, And then over time I've realized more and more how for everyone, no matter what their job is, it's really important for how you feel inside and how you, just your energy. You can't do anything if you don't have energy, right? If you don't sleep enough, if the food you're eating is not, giving you, it's taking so much work for your body to deal with it that you just don't feel very energetic. And I think, I realize for everyone, well, this is a big question. I don't want to talk too long about it. But one is that I just really appreciate the importance of taking care of your body. And the other importance of that's the gift you have, that's your instrument, whatever you do in your life, and you need to find what it's good at. Everybody is better than other people at something, and you should honor that. Yes?
What do you mean by creating a vision for yourself?
Would you say that again, please?
What do you mean by creating a vision for yourself?
Oh, what do I mean by creating a vision for myself? I think that's the first step in doing anything you want to do is have like an imagination about it, to be able to envision. So certainly something like dance, if you want to have the quality of gracefulness or fluidity, you have to have that vision in your head. And the interesting thing I want to say about that is if you want to do something and you can't do it, just even thinking about it starts making your brain make little connections with your body. So the thinking is a really important part of being able to do something. They say, they've done studies about that too. Sometimes people who just think about, like playing their instrument, they just think about it, they can get more benefit than actually going through it over and over again. Yeah, so the thinking is really important, the vision. Yeah. Anything else?
Do you have any things you do to help you think?
To help you think.
Yeah, you talk about thinking as a way to
Yeah,
create your vision.
That's a really interesting question, is how do you sort of generate that place where you can envision? I think you can get inspiration from things you see and hear around you. I think the first thing that sprang to my mind is sleep. If I really need to have some ideas and I just feel really stuck and have I think that when you sleep, you process things, and when you wake up, that's when you're the most creative. There was a very famous inventor, and I get mixed up whether it was Thomas Edison or Benjamin Franklin, I'll have to look that up, but he would actually sit in a rocking chair with a spoon in his hand or a fork and a metal pan on his plate, and he would fall asleep and drop it, and then it would wake him up. And that's when, because he knew he had the best ideas right when he woke up. And I find that, so if I wake up in the morning, I start to think about the problem that I had, and usually I'm so much more creative. Weird. Yes? What is a good way to view it? Well, I think that one of the positive things is it's a real community builder. When there's a competition, people come together. People who are interested in the same sort of thing gather. And so I think that's really important. And I think competition can be very good for the people outside of it. Not so much the competitors sometimes, but the people supporting that thing can get a lot of benefits. The community can. Yes?
If you would chosen something else other than dance, think you'd still be at the same level you are now, accomplishing stuff?
That's an interesting question. The question is, if I had chosen something other than dance, would I have reached the same caliber, I guess, of expertise? Well, I would like to think so, because I think I always liked doing well at things. I think I always want, like when I was in school, I did well, and I used to think I was smart, but now I realize I just tried harder. Tried harder, I think. So maybe. But the thing is that I really liked dance. When I was a little kid, I danced around. I put on puppet shows. I invited the neighbors to come put on a show and a play. So I think it's really hard to it's really hard to make yourself do those 10,000 hours of practice you need to do, unless it's something you like to do. It's really hard to make yourself get good at something that's not already really interesting to you, So it's good to stick with, think about what you like to do or what you did when you were 6 or 7 years old, and that shows a lot what you just like, what grabs you. Yes?
When you were 6 or 7 years old, was there something that your parents did or your teachers did to help you follow what you like to do?
They supported it. Like they recognized what I like to do, and my mom bought me a puppet theater and puppets, or a book about this, or records, or put me in lessons. But I think they were watching. There were 5 children in my family, and we all did very different things. I think they were really looking at each individual child and what is that child interested. My parents went to the theater a lot. They took me to the theater. That made a huge impression on me. I don't know why. I was drawn into that world really quite early.